With the sound of cannons firing across Tiananmen Square, soldiers from the People's Liberation Army goose-stepped in perfect unison, moving as one. This was part of the largest military parade ever to be held in China, marking the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. Overseeing his troops under a blazing sun, China's President Xi Jinping. Greetings, comrades. You are working hard, he told them.
Yo, this shit is cool as fuck, bro. Actually, this shit is cool as hell. And also, they mogged us. They straight up mogged us, bro. Where's the Crypto.com sponsorship? Where's the Palantir sponsorship? Where's the sponsorship for the Dana White's like favorite energy drink or something? We had a bunch of schlubby ass like National Guardsmen barely walking through the DC streets with the squeaky tanks in tow. That shit sucked. Why are none of their soldiers fat? Comparing drones, comparing the drones at this year's military parades, who wore it better? That's messed up. What is this? 4.2 million views on TikTok, and it's not even a day? I love this shit. Yeah, when they say, what, this is the sick thing, like, comrades, thank you for your hard work, and then they respond. That's what IShowSpeed did too. I think it was in Hong Kong. It is crazy. There was maximum aura, especially when you compare this parade to what we did here.
And then it was the unveiling of Beijing's new military hardware, nuclear-armed missiles with potential global reach, hypersonic weapons, autonomous underwater drones, and laser air defense systems. But this spectacle was more than just commemorating the war dead. It was an opportunity for Xi to take center stage.
I mean, the way this stuff works is like, the better your parade, the worse your military is on the ground. Low-key. That's at least how it's worked historically. I'm not saying that like the Chinese military doesn't have prowess or whatever, but they are objectively an untested military. Let's be real. This isn't to say like, I'm not doing like Western chauvinist copium or some shit, okay? I am in awe of what the Chinese government has been able to do in such a short period of time. And anyone who does not recognize that is unironically oblivious, and they're running on fumes basically at this point. They're dunking on us. They're dabbing on us. Parade looking cool aside, who knows how this stuff works, but obviously the Chinese military is seen as more of a deterrence force than one that is an offensive force that maintains a global imperialist interests, as is the case with the American military force. That is objectively true. They don't use their military. They don't. They're both pooing and peeing on you. No, they're dabbing on us, they're pooing on us, they're peeing on us. But ultimately, their military is not only just like a jobs program or whatever, but like also a deterrence force. Unexpected copium? It's not. Anyone that says that the Chinese military is as battle tested as the American one is lying to themselves. History. Look at history. Yeah, we are untested because we're a peaceful nation. You are tested against farmers of Vietnam and herders of Afghanistan, and you lost against both. Sit down, says Top G. Wouldn't say the American military is all that mighty either, but it's certainly mightier, at least, or has more experience than the Chinese military does, due to its imperial ambition.
Flanked by his powerful allies and neighbors, Russia's President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And the message was,
dude, this is the funniest thing. People just getting mad about shit that I'm not saying, or literally misunderstanding the shit that I'm saying, and they're in agreement with me. But it doesn't matter. The U.S. has no experience against an evenly matched military. What are you talking about? Yeah, no shit, dude. That's what I'm saying. The last time that they had experience like that was the last honest war that America ever waged, which was World War II. I know. That's precisely my point. That's why I said even the American military is not as marvelous as they are presented. No, you can't say Vietnam either. Now, obviously, it's a lie to say that the Vietnamese were just like rice farmers that wore sandals and shit. They also had a fairly competent standing military, a logistical supply hub that they used, the Ho Chi Minh Trail. They had weapons, anti-aircraft defenses that they got from the USSR. So obviously they had gear, but America still was able to establish air superiority over them. So there was asymmetrical warfare there as well. My point is, like, America has some experience in like waging war for imperialist ambitions. China, on the other hand, uses military prowess as like a main deterrence factor. And therefore, doesn't have any military experience at all, even if it's against like an enemy that is, you know, wearing sandals and flip-flops and shit.
Undeniable. Strength in solidarity and a challenge to the US-dominated world order.
Well, China's military power and preparedness is clearly on display for the world to see. What's happening on stage is just as important. The deepening ties between China, Russia and North Korea would certainly have some in Washington concerned.
No, that's the other thing. What do you mean concern? There's a different path here. You are the reason. America is quite literally the reason why this allegiance exists. The only reason why these guys from all around the world get together and they're like, yeah, China, we love you. Or they say, oh yeah, Russia is actually doing the right thing in Ukraine. The only reason why they feel that way is because of America. If America wasn't as violent and consistently presented a lot of these countries, an increasingly growing number of countries in the global south as like their foreign adversaries, their enemies that must be eviscerated, these guys would not have this network, this allegiance.
During his speech, Xi called upon the People's Liberation Army to accelerate its development into a world-class military and, quote, resolutely safeguard national sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity. A demonstration of might and capability that has the potential to back up Xi's vision of a new world order.
It began with a deep hush across this historic square. A sense cannon fire was calling this country to attention. Nothing short of utter perfection would have been acceptable here. Every flex, every gesture, even their height exactly matched. Tens of thousands marched to remember a world war where this country suffered so much. But under the eye of China's leading regime, looking back is clearly not the key point. Indeed, this day was as much about this president as anything else. Greetings, comrades, he shouts. Greetings, President, the reply. This is a display of his military reforms, his iron control grip, and his vision for where China goes next.
The Chinese nation is a great people who fear no tyranny and strive for self-reliance. The great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation is unstoppable. The noble cause of human peace and development will surely triumph.
And this is clearly part of that vision, not just what's on show, but who came to see it. These were the images that will most likely make history. Vladimir Putin to his right, Kim Jong-un to his left, a clear signal of a trio in sync. It is remarkable messaging about allegiance and intent for three leaders who don't always agree, and it did not go unnoticed by the one man they probably hoped would be watching. Please give my warmest regards to Putin and Kim, posted Trump, as you conspire against the United States of America. There is nothing subtle about a display of new military hardware. War readiness clearly the message. But it's one that they have at least attempted to temper. One of the few soldiers they allowed us to speak to was from the Peacekeeping Brigade.
We are holding this military parade to awaken our people's desire for peace. The Chinese military is committed to world peace, and we contribute to world peace. We will firmly fulfill our obligations as a major power.
There was an obvious pride for the lucky few able to come, amongst those who fought in particular, but a tight control of the narrative too, and the story about China they're telling.
It is unusual to be able to film here, to be able to see this up so close, and everything about it is designed to shock and awe. The precision is just remarkable. And while a lot of it is directed at the domestic Chinese audience, a homage to China's rise and the vision of President Xi, be in no doubt there is a clear message for the world too. And it is a message about Chinese power, the power of its military, the power of its allegiances, and the power of its politics.
Quite a lot has been on display. I mean, these governments always use these opportunities to show what they've got and that they ought to be taken seriously. And so they were showing their heavy MIRVs, multiple independently targeted re-entry vehicles, their ICBMs, which are the intercontinental ballistic missiles, and these are the sort of things that can reach any part of the world, really, the United States. They showed off their Air Force. That's the J-10, which has performed very well for India, actually, in the recent clash with Pakistan, and then the J-20s. The J-20s.
Damn, I thought that was fake news. What happened? We are 100p getting smoked the next scrap we have with these motherfuckers. I mean, at most, it'll be proxy shit, right? I don't think it's going to be a situation where they're like, two nuclear armed nations are going to be going, band for band like this.
Are the stealth fighters, a bit like the F-35 that we operate in Western countries. And the whole parade was designed to show both old and new equipment. So the equipment that we would expect them.
Xi should start the U.S. invasion with his baddie squad, then all libertarians will instantly give up and submit. Xi Jinping, women farm half the aura. Arguably in a proxy war already? I mean, that's more so like Russia versus the U.S. China is the senior partner backing Russia, but like they're nowhere near as actively as hands-on as like America is. America's giving direct weapons to Ukraine so that Ukrainians can defend themselves. Make no mistake. I'm not saying that like Russia is right here, but China is not like farming their new weapons to test it out on a fucking fresh new battlefield in Russian hands. Yeah, North Korea is more actively involved in this than China is, for sure. Bro, what are these hats? This is so sick. Theatrics, nothing more. You're Israeli, so it's normal you'd be surprised at a military being used for non-violent purposes. You think China sent a few of its own into Ukraine along with the North Koreans just to see what was up? No, as far as I understand, the Chinese government has actively told Chinese citizens to not go to Ukraine. And the ones that have been killed in conflict are like mercenaries. That's so funny, though. Yeah, China sent in a couple Asian guys because no one will know the difference. With the North Koreans is crazy. Looks like a hat you would wear in the Australian outback. Proof China will invade Australia? What do you mean, will? The invasion happened already, my friend. Where do you think they got the hats? Australia already is a Chinese vassal state, and they're very fortunate because of their proximity. Wait, what is this? Blowing up drug dealers is good. Here's you in a poppy field protecting the CIA-ran Afghan heroin trade. Yeah, that's called eliminating market competition, okay? Sweetie, look it up.